Hello, everybody. Get off my lawn cards. I'm Dan. Welcome in. And my last video, I talked about the good things about the National. And I highly recommend going to the National. I give it, as a card show, the National is a 10 out of 10. But there are some things that I just really don't like about the National, but I do not let it interfere with the fact that it's the biggest card show in the world and it's the best card show in the world. All right. So, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about the negative things that I personally have issues with, and I'm not alone. I am definitely not alone when it comes to these. And the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that collecting cards has become more and more gambling adjacent. Let's say where there's a lot of gambling techniques that are used in cards. And you're starting to see more and more of it at the National. For instance, you see ATMs all over the National, whereas in the past, maybe one or two. But PSA had one conveniently parked right in front of their booth. Um, it's become a combination of a casino and a pawn shop in some respects with the National. You have ATMs all over the place. You have a couple booths that have consignments. We're offering cash advances on their consignment to buy cards, which that's a pawn shop staple. Um, you know, a couple of the booths had spin the wheel, win a prize, corporate booths. You had one group in particular, I don't know who this is, that they were giving away poker chips. The logo's on the other side. I'm not giving that the time of day. Time of day. I'm not showing that. But if you're giving away poker chips, you're very gambling adjacent. Let's say booming music. If you go to a casino, it's loud, it's bright lights, and especially with the Breakers Pavilion, you saw a lot of that. There's a lot of gambling related things, and that's going to cause problems. You're going to see stories about white collar crimes, people embezzling money to buy cards, people, stealing money from their families to pay for cards. You're going to see that. It's the same thing I remember in my state of Michigan when they started allowing casinos to be built. What are stories that started to come out? White collar crimes, embezzlement, stealing from your families, parents. You started seeing a lot of that. And you're going to see those stories pop up with cards. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Now, second, I'm going to focus some negatives on Fanatics. A guy that I follow on Twitter, had a chance to talk to him. My brother talks to him quite often, is Those Back Pages. That's his handle on Twitter. And he also has a YouTube channel. He kind of sees around corners. He's a guy that he has pretty good advice in the hobby as far as what cards to buy and all that. And he used the phrase with Fanatics, the phrase quiet quitting the National. And when I read that on Twitter, I laughed at first. And I thought, there's a lot of truth to that. Fanatics has Fanatics Fest. Its name's on the marquee. And so they're going to plow a lot of time and attention there. And at the National, they really didn't didn't care, let's say. They set up the booth, but there wasn't a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you some examples. When you have a VIP pass, you get a VIP goodie bag. And you have sets from Upper Deck and Panini and Leaf. Nothing from Topps. Absolutely zero in a VIP bag from Topps. Not a thing. Not one thing. This is something I've never talked about as far as the National goes. I wanted to keep this for our group that travels. Topps for years has done what's called a Q&A party. And the thing that you do is you sign up for it. They've done it via lottery the last couple of years because word got out on it quite a bit. And This year, they did not do it. First year since I've been going. Actually, the first year I went in Baltimore was the first year they did it. And this year, they did nothing. The Q&A party, they had food, they had drink, they had giveaways. Everybody left the party with an autograph card of a player that was kind of hot at the time. Corbin Carroll was one of those. One of the Sasaki, the pitcher for the Dodgers last year. Um, Julio Rodriguez, I think, was one year. So, like that, Topps out. They were out on that. Topps has had wrapper redemptions ever since I've been going to the National. You buy Topps product on site, certain types. You bring it to the Topps booth. They take the plastic off. They give you a certain amount of redemption packs. Did not do that this year. What they replaced it with is exactly what Fanatics is going to do to us from now on. They created these national exclusive cards that they sold in boxes based on the topic. Basketball boxes, football boxes, Star Wars boxes, etc. You get the idea. And they were selling them from between $250 and $400. I think it depended on the topic. But that replaced buying wax from, let's say, Blowout or Dave and Adams, Steel City, wherever, and getting packs. They just cut out the middleman. And it seems that when I watch influencers open those boxes, they're all getting 1-1s, very low number autographs. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Seems like the influencers got some real nice cards out of those. So those are things like Fanatics. Like I said, is Fanatics quiet quitting the National to put a lot of their emphasis on on their own Fanatics Fest? It appears to be. They got kind of lazy, I'm going to admit. Didn't spend a lot of times in the Topps booth because they didn't care about us, and I'm not really going to care about them. Topps has the advantage because they have a monopoly. But keep this in mind. Topps doesn't own the rights to buy all these older cards. If we want, we don't have to buy any Topps current stuff. There's plenty of older stuff out there to buy. All right, enough about Topps. I'm going to talk about Topps in a future video about what I think about Topps. But some other negatives. Beckett was going to grade on site. They ran out of slabs day 2. How do you run out of slabs? It's the one thing you need. You got graders, you got slabs. You put this, you put the grade on the slab. How do you run out of slabs day 2? That's just awful. There's going to be a lot of people. Once again, Beckett just can't get out of their own way. Even though they're owned by Collectors Universe, which owns PSA, and they still can't get out of their way. They run out of slabs day 2. It's stupid. PSA screwed up their grading as well. They had a plan where if you paid a certain amount of money, hundreds of dollars, PSA was if you brought them into the booth by a certain time, you are going to get those cards back graded before the National ended. That lasted about a day. And so PSA did sort of the right thing by saying, hey, we're going to give you a refund of X amount of dollars. And, I think they were going to ship them free. I think that was the deal. But that's incompetence because there's high roller cards that people wanted to bring in hand to the National to get graded on site and get them back in their hands by, let's say, Sunday, so they didn't have to ship them through the mail and get them back in the mail so they don't disappear. We're not talking $100 cards here. We're talking $10,000, $20,000, $500,000 cards. I don't know. We're talking huge cards that people were very disappointed that PSA dropped the ball as far as grading goes and getting them back on site. They dropped the ball. That was just bad. Terrible planning. The grading companies are running into some trouble. They are running into some serious trouble, in my opinion. Some other things, some other negatives. I want to try to keep this short. Dealers that don't price stuff, shame on you if you're going to the National and not pricing your stuff. It's so busy, you don't have time to point, you know, oh, that price, I have to look that up. Let me look it up. It's not a 40 table card show. It's the effing National. You're talking 200,000 people, 100,000 people in the building at one time. You can't be looking up prices and looking up comps. Price your stuff. That is, most people price their stuff. I want to be very clear with that. Most dealers have their act together. There's few that missed out on sales. I know there's people that left booths because the guys didn't have prices. All right, some other negatives. Panini redemption packs. I'm gonna do a thing on Panini. I think Panini is dying a slow death in the hobby. But I saw footage on YouTube of people opening Panini redemption packs. Yikes, they were terrible. And they were, I don't know what they were selling for this year. They usually, the silver packs sell for $25 to $50. Ugly. It's like, hey, I'm gonna open this pack, burn that. It's $25 into the stove. Same thing, open. I saw a couple hundred of those packs opened, and it was like taking money and burning it. Just awful. I have a problem with this. This is not specific to the National, but it's kind of amplified by the National. The hobby has way too many famous people, influencers, that are not great for the hobby. I've said this before on previous episodes. The hobby works best in anonymity. I don't know the dealer. They don't know me. They're looking to sell cards. I'm looking to buy cards. We agree on a price. There's no there's no way there's any hanky panky going on. Stuff that gets, oh, this guy opened a box of Topps, basketball redemption stuff from Topps, or the national boxes. They open a national box and they get a Cooper Flag 101. And that person has X amount of subscribers. 40,000 subscribers or something. Not great. It's not a great look, in my opinion. Now, could it be totally random? Sure, it probably is, but these influencers that open these boxes, they got big hits. 101s. Lots of them. This is an outside the national issue. This goes to the city of Chicago or city of Rosemont. Why are you closing down lanes going into the national when it's one of the busiest weekends of the year for you guys? We were going into the national every day, and they had a lane closed that was not being worked on by anybody. That's terrible planning. Terrible planning. Like, if you have a road that collapses, yeah, okay, close that down. But holy moly, you can't. You have 3 lines of traffic going into the national, and one of them is closed. So you have a bottleneck going on every day with tens of thousands of people trying to get in your building. Oof, bad planning. Has nothing to do with the national. That's a city of Chicago screw up. I hate the Breakers Pavilion. I'm going to say it. It is like a Michael Bay movie. Michael Bay made like Transformers and all those dumb movies. The Breakers Pavilion is big, it's loud, and it's dumb. There, I said it. It's totally unnecessary to be there. These breakers can break at home in their parents' basement, as far as I'm concerned. The whatnot stuff is just totally overwhelming. There are dealer booths right next to this pavilion, and what do they got to deal with all day? Just loud, obnoxiously loud music, people yelling about getting hits. It's big, loud, and dumb. It has no place in the national, in my opinion. Go home, go on whatnot, do your thing there. This is a real get off my lawn topic with me. But when I go to high school basketball games and I'm trying to talk to somebody during timeouts, during halftime, in between quarters, just big, loud music. Why? Can't I just sit and enjoy my thoughts and talk to somebody? It's just ridiculous. And this Breakers Pavilion is that also. I don't need big, loud music all the time. I like music. I don't like it in that situation. Big, loud, and dumb. Like I said yesterday, as far as one of the positives go, a lot of kids at the National. I like that. You need to have a future in the hobby, and the kids are our future. Um, I just wonder, based on what I see at the National the last 5 years when all these kids have come in, what percentage of these kids really have a PC, a personal collection? Like I talked to a kid at the VIP lounge one day, and he was very polite and could hold a conversation. He wasn't more than probably 12 years old. His mom was there, you know, helping him along. And the kid did collect Ohio State cards, which is terrible as a Michigan fan. But as a collector, I appreciate that the kid has, like Julian Sayin and, those guys. And he was also looking to, flip some cards. And I respect that too. But I just wonder what percentage of people 24 and under actually have a PC? Does Roth Cards have a PC, Man Bun? I don't know. Seems like he just flips cards from one dealer to another. Not sure how that works, but I think that's a problem. Collect something, pick something. I think that's a problem. That's a problem long term if the market crashes. Then people are going to move on to something else. I don't know what that something else is, but it's going to be something else. A couple other things real quick. Panini's a sinking ship. I'm going to do a video about that. Their booth had a lot of people, but I'm not sure why. Panini is still drafting off having the old license. Like they have redemption boxes, the black boxes, the white boxes that they were giving away for redemption, unfulfilled redemptions. But that's going to dry up. What do they got then? I don't. Panini's a sinking ship. That ship be sinking, as they say. Things I could do without at the National, 2 booths, V-Friends. It's nice to have a buddy like Michael Rubin that'll print your stuff. That's all I got to say about V-Friends. It's a TCG wannabe. And people like Gary V, grind, work 24 hours a day. I'm sure that's great for your health and well-being. But V-Friends is just a waste of time. The other one that I think is just hilarious is Ghostwrite. These little plastic figures that you can buy. What a joke. That's a Josh Luber guy. He was at Fanatics for about 5 minutes until they figured out, he likes to sleep until noon and comes up with harebrained ideas. Fanatics was smart enough to dump him after about 5 minutes. Wore his hat on backwards all the time. Try to be like he was 12. Ghostwrite's who's giving that guy money? Who's giving Josh Luber money? Just dumb. I'd like to say this about the National. Like I said, the show itself as a card show, it's a 10 out of 10. There is nothing that beats the National. And right now, the hobby is booming. There's no doubt about it. And that's a good thing. But I kind of compare it to this. There's a lot of plates spinning right now. You ever watch those variety shows where you have a person that's spinning a lot of plates on these sticks and they've got like 5 or 6 of them going at the same time? That's where the hobby is right now. All the plates are spinning. Throw a rock at a box of cards and you can probably find something that you can sell and make money if you don't damage it with the rock. But right now, all the plates are spinning. And I collected in the 80s. And I saw things fall apart really fast. And what's going to happen when the plate stops spinning and a couple of them start falling? That's going to be that is the question. Because a lot of people got a lot of money in the cards right now. Conservatively, there were millions of dollars floating around at the National. I would say probably hundreds of millions of dollars floating around at the National. I mean, if you have 200,000 people, and let's say they got on average $2,000 a piece to spend, which isn't, I mean, that could be a short trip to the National. if you want it to be. I mean, start doing the math a little bit. 200,000 each with $2,000. I think that's 400 million, something like that. I don't have a calculator in front of me, so do the math. But when the plates stop spinning, what's going to happen? And that happened in the 80s. Hey, we have all these, people are buying and selling cards and it's awesome. And all these brand new shops are opening and there's shops everywhere. Shop, shop, shop. Card show, card show, card show. The National did big business back then. Anaheim had over 100,000 people when they had the National. But the plate stopped spinning. And for about 15 years, it was pretty dead. And we have some similar behaviors, I think. Backed by a lot more money and maybe, some bigger financial institutions than back in the 80s. But we'll see. I don't know. So that's it as far as the National goes. I'm going to do some other videos. I've got some in mind, but they're not real National related. I'll probably throw in some insights into it. But Kitos, thank you. Like, subscribe. A big thank you to all the people that have watched the National videos. I just want to give you a perspective of what's going on from one collector's perspective. Somebody else could do a totally different video and have a totally different view on the National, and that's cool. But I want to bring it down. I want to bring it to you. If you've never been to the National, I want you to kind of see what it's like. I never had that when I first went to the National. I just read about it in Beckett Magazine. There was no YouTube back then, or the internet was kind of in its early phases. So I didn't really know. I had no idea what to expect. I went in there totally blind. My brother and I we went because we'd never been before. And now we both have some perspective. We've been there many times. And so we can share what we know about it, what we think about it. We all collect differently. I collect differently than my brother. We collect differently than our buddy that comes with us every year. And that's cool. And we all get what we want. Like we're all driving home Sunday saying, man, what a great show. But for completely different reasons. So I just want to bring those kind of experiences to you. So until next time, I think there's a show at Legends in Grand Rapids. If you're in that area, go to Legends Sports and Games. Lou Brown runs a good shop. He runs good shows. I'm taking the weekend off from card collecting. I'm burned out, and I want to get ready for Ship Shawana. I'm going to Ship on that Friday. I think it's August 14th. I'm going to that show. I'm going to look to sell some stuff, maybe look to buy some bigger stuff. We'll see. So we'll see you down the trail.